I want to talk to you about a scripture today found in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, and verse number 12. Now, when you read verse 11, he talks about putting on the full armor of God, and then he names the shield of faith, helmet of salvation, shoes, your feet shod with the preparation gospel of peace. All of these is armor that he's given us, but it's on a spiritual basis. But I want to deal with verse number 12. He said, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, spiritual wickedness, rulers of the darkness of this world." What the Apostle Paul is saying here, that God does not hand victories and blessings out to us over people. Let me read this again. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. But then there's a conjunction there that he recognizes there is spiritual warfare. He said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world. He says, spiritual wickedness, high places, rulers of the darkness of this world. He recognizes 4 areas of battlefield. But the first statement that he makes there, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Sometimes we as Christians get ourselves in a mess sometimes because we make our battle with flesh and blood and not against the powers of the darkness of this world. We fight people. We get crossways with people, and then you know how the battle goes. Here's the problem with that. God does not hand you blessings out over people. He said we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And here's the reason behind that. You're praying for God to give you victory over somebody in the church, somebody in the family, whatever it might be. But at the same time, they're praying for God to give them victory over you. So here's what we're doing. We're getting God in a dilemma. Lord, who do you like best? And it better be me. You better pick me. That's our feelings that we have. So God's ahead of the game here. And he said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. My fight is not with my brother or my sister. My fight is against the powers, the rulers, the darkness of this world that stir up these things. And people can be led by just evil thinking and evil thoughts. But God said our battle is not with them. It's against the force that makes them do what they do. So he said, we wrestle not. Word not there's no. Don't do it. Don't get involved in that. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. That's people. That's human. But then he said, but we do wrestle against principalities, powers, darkness, this world, spiritual wickedness in high places. Now, we don't have time on this little video for me to break all those 4 areas down, but all 4 of those areas are separate in battle. They're separate that we fight against them. But the point I'm making is our battle is not with our brother and sister. It's with the powers of the darkness, demons of hell, spiritual wickedness, rulers of the darkness of this world. So you may be saying, well, preacher, I got victory over so-and-so, and I got victory over this. And my question is to you, why does it still bother you? If you got victory over somebody, why does it still bother you? Several years ago, I ran across this, and I had been praying, seeking God to give me victory over somebody. And then when we finally got together and talked the situation out, this person told me, I have been praying for God to give me victory over you. And I sat there and I thought about that a moment of time. And I thought, that's the same prayer I have been praying. You do not get God in a dilemma of making him choose who he likes best, because he loves us all the same. So our battle is not with flesh and blood. It's against the demonic forces of hell. So put on the whole armor of God that you might be able to stand, because we are in spiritual warfare. Be blessed of God and let God touch you in a powerful way.